There's this great bit in Mad Max Fury Road where Max has just survived a windstorm-propelled car crash. He pulls himself out of the sand, assesses his situation, and goes to sever the chain connecting him to his captor Nux. His initial attempts failing him, he grabs a nearby shotgun, puts it on Nux's wrist, and with barely any hesitation, he pulls the trigger. The gun backfires, but we're aware what Max intended to do. Later, when Furiosa gets the jump on Max after he tries to pass the gun off as functional, we see that she is willing to go even further defending her friends from him. And then, as trust builds between the cast of characters, we see it develop in the language of who gets to hold a gun. Flow, despite its wildly lighter tone, succeeds by a lot of the same avenues of relationships built through actions and the dispersal of objects rather than the dumping of exposition. It's the rare film I feel confident recommending to absolutely everyone. On its surface, it's a pleasant, family-friendly animated movie about a cat, capybara, and a bunch of their wacky animal pals piloting a sailboat through a flash flood that can hold the attention of young and old alike with its beautiful sweeping vistas and the primal affection shown between its subjects. But there's also something deeper to be found here about carrying forward in a dying world by leaning into the instincts diametrically opposed to those that ended it. This is one of those great unlikely allies going on a quest movies, more deserving to be in conversation alongside, yes, Fury Road or even Lord of the Rings and Seven Samurai than, say, Homeward Bound. The first bold choice that sets Flow apart from its animated or otherwise animal-centered peers is its decision to barely anthropomorphize its subjects to not make them more human-like. Most films will give animated animals a human voice, facial structure, or even complete human behaviors. Flow trusts that its audience will be able to identify with its characters regardless. Humans connect with animals all the time, after all. We wouldn't have so many pets or go to zoos if we didn't. Though some of the actions and relationships between animals are at least improbable in this movie, their mannerisms, the frantic shuffle of a lemur, a quizzical stare of the heron, or the defensive hunch of its protagonist's back are actions decidedly distinct to a species other than our own. Miraculously, though this film has no human dialogue, the relationships being negotiated among its cast remain completely legible and enthralling. You'll become invested in a mirror, a basket, a pile of fish, and a floating buoy because of what those objects and the care with which each animal treats them say about how much they have grown to care about each other. Debate over some all-encompassing theory of whether dialogue is essential or detrimental to the sheer power of the moving image, I tend to think is a bit reductive, but in this case, without the spoken word, there is no room to do anything but fill the frame with beautiful images. Flow takes complete advantage of the impossibility afforded through computer animation to present long takes sweeping through the clouds across the earth and under the water, and I found this to be a more powerful gap bridger between generations than putting sex jokes in Cars 3. No one is too old or young to be awed by the things on screen. And there's an added emotional resonance because, while never exhaustively explained, this is not a pre-human society but a post-human one. The protagonist begins the film living in an abandoned human house. It's one of a few conspicuous reminders that something existed before being destroyed, perhaps by the same floods driving the plot. It invites us to both sit with the feelings of what could be left of the world should it become unaccommodating to our current kind of civilization, but also that compassion and vibrant life is not something only contained within our, speaking on the scale of millennia, temporary species and society. The word to sum up Flow is trust. The trust built between its subjects, the trust in the audience coming to love them without the traditional trappings of this type of quote-unquote kids movie, and trust in the power of the moving image to do all the heavy lifting. Perhaps this is the black cat owner in me talking, but I think it's one of the best movies of the year, which, unfortunately, in the painstaking process of whittling down to a top 10 list, will fall off the bottom. But nonetheless, I'll recommend it, especially if you're at some holiday gathering with people of varying ages. You can have a rec to see in theaters that will really knock it out of the park with everybody. Thanks for watching. If you've seen Flow and stuck around this far, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, and if you're in that select number, also consider subscribing or following me on Letterboxd or Blue Sky. Happy holidays to everyone, and I'll see you on the first Friday of next year, probably to talk about Nosferatu and Baby Girl. Bye.